Hello, hello. Good morning, everybody. How are you today? How was your week? No, not how is your week? Just some, as usual, the technical issues that are always solved at the beginning of the webinar. How are you? What do you do? Are there any plans for this weekend? What do you plan to do? I plan to go home on Sunday to my hometown. This is my home usually, not usually as a rule, but I plan to go to my hometown on Sunday to meet parents, just to communicate with them. Oh, Andrei, hello, hello. Of the project, I was planning now to have a look at the projects because I was full really this week. I was checking homeworks. I was checking the platform classes. Yeah, of course. You are the only person who actually who actually participates in these projects, and the only person who actually participates in the webinars. So right, just a second, I'm going to, oh, something interesting. Let's have a look.
So, hello guys, this is my project about a skill I want to master, namely motion design. So, let's tackle the first issue by answering a pretty obvious question. So, what's the motion graphics and who's the motion designer? You guessed it right. Let's search the web for it. Motion design, also known as motion design, is a subset of graphic design in that it uses graphical design principles in a filmmaking or video production context. Well, it seems kind of boring and inscrutable. So, let me define this topic with a plain English. In essence, motion design is just simply drawing a picture in Illustrator app and then adding some adjustment and animating it with the help of glorious After Effects software. According to expert, motion design has some positive aspects to it, such as creating attractive masterpieces, being productive and efficiently disposing your free time, sharing your mesmerizing artworks with friends, and suiting your own constructive style. Strange as it may seem, but motion design requires some basic and often elementary skills, some of which are displayed in this picture. And be sure to have at least preliminary computer skills, otherwise you're completely devastated. Although motion design may seem intimidating at the first glance, but let me give you some pieces of precious inspiration by showing you some of the most fascinating artworks of motion designers. Enjoy it! I hope now you're inspired and passionate about motion design. So let's take a look at some software you may need to animate these magnificent images. Firstly, let us take a look at Photoshop. Thanks to this app, we can create some awesome images, edit them afterwards, and add some astounding effects, for instance, shadows. Next up goes Illustrator. It is often used to create delectable logos, work with vector images, and elevate photography. Then we have one of the most important apps, which is called After Effects. It is directly used to create animation adjusted with color correction and gauges. Last but not least comes Cinema 4D. Amazingly enough, we use it to work with 3D objects. Another point worth noticing is the hardware. I recommend you purchase 2020 MacBook Pro model with the M1 processor on it, 16 gigabytes of RAM, and at least 1 terabyte of SSD storage. Personally speaking, this MacBook just knocks it out of the park. When it comes to video editing and animation, it runs natively on Apple's groundbreaking M1 chip, which delivers incredible performance, custom technologies, and power efficiency. To the best of my knowledge, you should accompany a breakthrough laptop with an enhanced drawing tablet from Wacom Linux. It is a perfectly versatile device, therefore you could use it even with your glorious smartphone or your impeccable desktop. Needless to say that it is in a league of its own when it comes to working in all of the above programs. So basically, guys, that's it. Thank you for taking time to listen and see you. Oh, wait.
We do have one more thing.
So weighing up both sides of an argument, I can conclude that you do not necessarily need to acquire high-end video tutorials due to the fact that they are readily available on the YouTube. Thank you for your attention and see you later.
Wow, interesting. I haven't even expected that you will prepare and you will dedicate so much time to that. Thanks a lot. It was awesome. Right. Thanks a lot for taking part in the projects. And today there will be, not will be, but today there's the present time or present webinar for the most active students. So it seems to me that logically, I will give this prize to you without even thinking. Oh my God, all the paper, all the scrap paper are used. So I'm going to write the group here, not to forget. Yesterday I was having, oh my God, I was having about 3 lessons. Okay, I have written your name. Thanks a lot. Great. That's really interesting. Okay. Let's get started. My God, where is that? Today I was planning to look at the interconnected topic with the previous one, and it's called self-motivation. So today we are going to continue talking about motivation itself, drive, right? Being self-driven and self-motivated. So the first one, we are going to have a little bit of a discussion. After, we are going to look at the personal values in self-motivation and its benefits of being self-motivated, using personal values to understand your motivational basis, and MIT goal orientation. Also, there will be a bunch of theories connected to these personal values. After that, we are going to look at your personal values and a little bit of a follow-up and follow-on discussion on this topic. Right. Let's have a look at this one. Oh, there was some question. Okay, let it be. So I would like to start with self-motivation itself. Sorry. So self-motivation is the ability to drive oneself to take initiative and action to pursue goals and complete tasks. It's an inner drive, something that is inside you to take action, to create and to achieve. To create and to achieve. It's what pushes you to keep going on tasks, especially those you are pursuing because you want to, not because someone told you. When reaching for a big goal, self-motivation plays a key role. But making a change in your life requires persistence, and many of us find it difficult to stay motivated over time. When setting out to achieve a long-term goal, whether it's to get healthy, make a midlife career change, or realize a personal dream, and the beginning is always easy. You are full of vitality and determination to face the challenge. However, many of our most precious goals don't happen quickly. It takes hard work, persistence, discipline, commitment to change your life. When results don't come as quickly as you expect, or when nothing goes right, it's natural to feel frustrated, overwhelmed, and have difficulty staying motivated. Exploring how to find motivation will provide the tools to overcome dips, develop mental toughness, improve your focus on your goals, and keep you on a steady path towards success. So let's start. Okay. I wanted to also to tell you about what's self-motivation. In order to find motivation, we first need to understand what we are really talking about. Motivation is simply the force driving your behavior. It's the why behind everything you do, and the reason you might take up a course, commit to an action, or work toward a goal. Everything we do is motivated by some combination of conscious and unconscious need or desire. When we talk about self-motivation, we are going beyond basic motives. What we really mean is the ability to follow through on making a positive change in life without giving up. Self-motivation requires that you believe in yourself, stay inspired, and keep going despite setbacks. In other words, we are talking about grit. Psychologist Angela Duckworth studied the characteristics of high achievers and discovered that passion and perseverance are the key drivers of long-term success. Grit takes you further than the initial motive behind your goal. After the buzz of excitement wears off, grit takes you all the way to the finish line. So, when we have discovered that it's the drive, it's the inner force that helps to be and the perseverance that is inside you, what about you? Are you a self-motivated person? Why or why not? Can you type in the chat box whether I usually either read some money-related books or watch YouTube channel called Instardine. He's a magnificent. Every now and then I listen to Morgenstern songs about money, thus increase my self-esteem and my values. Okay. Faith is also utmost important in fulfilling your dream. Okay. In pursuing your dream, right? Making your dream come true. So are you a self-motivated person? Why or why not? Speaking about me, I'm actually a self-motivated person. I have this inner drive, but speaking about long-term dreams or long-term goals, it's kind of difficult for me to stay self-motivated. So I usually give up. I usually don't have enough motivation because I'm very dependent on the help and support of other people around me usually. What about you? Face, right? Are you a self-motivated person? Why or why not? No, I'm not. I should say that I'm self-motivated person, but because I have this very strong inner drive, I have this buzz of excitement at the beginning, at the onset of something, of my goal, of the process. But after that, I just burn out very quickly. It becomes boring. It becomes not exciting anymore, and I just lose this motivation. I don't know why, but it's like very, very often happens with me, and sometimes it irritates me a lot. Right now, I'm in two minds between what? Because my achievements are quite modest right now. It's much easier for me to get motivation from the channel mentioned above. But when I manage to make some valid accomplishments, I will become self-motivated person. Okay, right. Yeah, after some big achievements, right? Some huge ones. Okay, what's your greatest motivation? What drives you? What's your greatest motivation? Speaking about me, my greatest motivation is myself, first of all, because I'm a big motivator for myself. At the beginning, I said before. After that, my biggest and greatest motivation is it's very banal to say that is the people who are around me. That's not true. There are no such people. But so far, lately, this person, a big motivator for me was my boyfriend. Actually, because I haven't expected from him that he would manage to do such a big stuff. He would manage to achieve so much throughout a very short period of time. I haven't just expected from him this drive, this motivation, and this aspiration to achieve it. And for me, it was very motivating. It was like the great motivation. Speaking about some internet channels and different people that I see from YouTube or from some sources, I mean internet sources, I don't get so much motivation, because just when the person is having an interview and the person speaks about some of motivate kind of achievements, his or her achievements, right? It's not a very big motivation for me, because it's not the person who I know directly, and sometimes they just like they are writing their memoir of life. And of course, as all fiction books, sometimes you can exaggerate, sometimes you can make the story more colorful than it is in reality, than it actually is, right? And for me, it's not a very big motivation to watch some people. Of course, I can get some motivating ideas, but it's just a very tiny, teeny bit of motivation that I get from them. I get some ideas, I get some attitudes towards the things that are around me, towards the things that are now and exist now. But the greatest motivation to consider them to be my greatest motivation, nope. Nope, because it's not the person, or it's not the people who I know directly. It's not the people who I was with through thick and through thick and thin. That's why I always stick to the people, and I'm motivated with the help of people who are with me. That's what about you. It happened to me a couple of months ago. I actually was so passionate about learning French, but then it seemed hard for me and I quit. But currently I'm trying to reignite my passion, right? Yeah, if you just ask yourself, do you want it, or why do you do it? Why? What's the reason? What's maybe you have some need to learn French for your further studying, for your further for some further stuff. Maybe you don't need, maybe you just want it, you just have your inner passion. I want to learn French. For example, I want to learn Arabic. I want to start learning German, but I understand that it's now I prioritize my time and my resources, both material, financial resources, and time resources, right? And for example, this stuff that are driven by my inner motivation or inner passion, I sometimes put behind, because first of all, I put the stuff that brings me money. And it's a very big issue, because sometimes I understand that when you spend a lot of money on something that you like, just that gives you some pleasure, it's not the priority now. And you can also check out the channel in Stardin. He teaches Ukrainian financial literacy, gives millionaires advice, changes of people, but sharing his own experience. I get it that sometimes it's hard to get motivated by people who don't belong to your surrounding. However, right now I don't have that motivating society around me. So I always try to stick to his and others billionaires advice. Right. Yeah, if it motivates you, why not? For me, it doesn't work. Yeah, of course, sometimes it works, but for me, for example, watching some millionaires or billionaires and watching some very successful businessman doesn't work at all. I should say at all. It doesn't work because I'm not a business person, for sure. And sometimes they are speaking very generally, and sometimes they are speaking very empty words, and I don't see anything. But I try to, not I try to, but when I watch, for example, usual people like celebrities, just seen as actors, TV hosts, and they are giving sometimes very obvious but very deep and very subtle ideas of life. Views and their attitudes are just mind-boggling, and sometimes they change my perspective drastically on usual stuff, on everyday stuff. Because why do I need some business stuff in my daily life? But financial literacy is very good because I'm not very good at with finances. I'm a waster. I'm a waster. Well, speaking of French, after reading a book, I was impressed how I don't know the name, spoke French so fluently and funny. And also my aunt is able to speak French at upper cool. French is good. My friend can speak French, but she says when we met 1 week ago, she said that she's actually a philologist, a French and English philologist. And she said that I asked about, I asked her, can you speak French right now, just fluently? Because she's really high, and with her French, she's fluent, really fluent with her French. And she said that now very very basic stuff like my name is, I live there, I study, and I work as a teacher or something like that, and that's all, she said. The question is in about practice. She doesn't practice it, and that's a very big problem for her. She doesn't regret it, I should say, because if she wanted to if she wanted to work with French, she would master the language, but she doesn't work with the language, so she can't speak so fluently. Just the language is practice, right? It's just another muscle that you have to develop, another muscle you have to build. Okay, let's get to personal values and self-motivation. But before we go to personal values and self-motivation, I would like to talk about what drives motivation. Although self-motivation requires a long-term view, it's important to look at what is motivating you to seek change. The more clear you are on why, the easier it will be to stay focused on the work you are doing and to create the life you want. Sometimes motives can hide in plain sight, hidden within the subconscious, telling us deep down inside that something needs to be changed. Desires can evolve, sometimes in a flash of inspiration and sometimes through self-discovery over time. You'll have an easier time staying motivated by recognizing the motives behind your goals. Becoming aware of these motives and their source improves self-awareness while also keeping you on track toward goals that truly matter to you. You can classify the reason behind your goals into two ways: intrinsic and extrinsic. So when I was taking the CELTA course for teachers, we have separate input session devoted to motivation and motivation of our students. And we spoke about several ways and several kinds of motivation, intrinsic and extrinsic. There were some other ways, but I don't quite remember them. I know about intrinsic and extrinsic, which is widely used, which is kind of widely used. Intrinsic motivation refers to pursuing a goal based on internal factors, rather than external rewards like money, recognition. Intrinsically motivated actions have a built-in personal reward. Feelings of enjoyment, finding purpose, achieving excellence come from pursuing intrinsically motivated goals. In other words, our deepest desires, wants, and dreams come from within and drive self-motivation. Some examples of intrinsic motivation include changing habits to feel healthier, pursuing a lifelong dream of becoming an artist, building stronger, more meaningful relationship with people. Also, for example, for us, for teachers, when a student comes, we ask, why do you need to learn English? And he says, because I enjoy it. It's intrinsically motivated person. I enjoy it. I like learning the language. I like the process. I enjoy reading the books, or it's intrinsically motivated people. So to work with the intrinsically motivated person is, of course, easier, but at the same time difficult, because there is no special aim. There is no special deadline or finish line toward we should work. It's very vague sometimes to concoct a lesson not a lesson, but academic syllabus is challenging. Of course, at first it's very easy, because for each topic is interesting for this person. Everything is interesting for this person because it is enjoying. But after that, when you don't have a goal where to go, at some point the person will understand that enough, right? Nothing. We've spoken about everything. There is no aim. It's like I'm not motivated. So sometimes it's with both. It's pleasant and both challenging for the teachers. For example, what heartful desires drive you to become a better person and pursue your dreams? That's where you will find intrinsic motivation. What about extrinsic motivation? Extrinsic motivation relates to actions that we pursue based on external factors. In the case of extrinsic motivation, we aim to attain some kind of reward, such as money, status, good performance, and others. Examples of extrinsically motivated goals are seeking perfect grade at school, hitting sales goals at work, changing your appearance to please other people, earning a lot of money. What kind of drives lead you to work hard for tangible, measurable rewards? Those are your extrinsic motivators. Everyone is different, and therefore each person has their own set of intrinsic and extrinsic motivation. There is no specific person with a single motivation, extrinsic or intrinsic. It's always a combination, but sometimes the best students are those students whose motivations cross. Intrinsic and extrinsic, they cross. And these are the best types of students, the best types of like motivations that can help you to achieve something. If you, for example, understand that you have only intrinsic motivation, you have always to understand that you need to make intrinsic also cross. If these motivations don't cross, it means that the achievement of the goal will be hindered all the time. So the best way is to make these motivations cross. Whether you feel more encouraged by internal motivation or find yourself influenced by the external, or both, neither is right or wrong. Still, you want to make sure to recognize motivators so you can avoid chasing empty goals. After all the work of a big achievement, you can't enjoy success when it was all about living someone else's dream. Do you know Ukrainian entrepreneur Evgeny Chernyak? His father famously told him the person who doesn't want to achieve something looks for excuses, and the person who wants to succeed in life looks for opportunities. Right. Oh, it's very general. I know this Chernyak is the person who wrote Money or some Money Works or something. For me, they are very empty motivators for me. Maybe for some businessmen, but not for me. So, change isn't easy for anyone. Finding self-motivation requires long-term commitment, courage, perseverance. But that doesn't mean it's impossible. It simply means you have to find ways to give yourself a boost when you need it. Avoid giving up when you hit a dip. So the first one, simplify to focus your energy. Creating a life of simplicity in regards to self-motivation will keep distractions at bay and prevent you from feeling overwhelmed, especially during times of change. Simplicity allows space in our heads and hearts to become creative and grow through challenges. Instead of trying to pursue many goals at once, choose your area of focus. This will not only help simplify your life, but will enable you to direct all your talents towards your most important goals. Aim to become badass in one area, instead of half-heartedly working in many areas at once. Personal values. What about personal values? Values are broad motivations that can serve as the basis for goals. We propose that values can be used to understand the motivational basis of amity goal orientation, a pro-social goal orientation within achievement situations. We offer theory and empirical evidence relating personal values to amity goal orientation. Specifically, the results of 3 studies and many and mini meta-analysis suggest that the pro-social value of benevolence is positively related to amity goal orientation. So we are going to look at the personal values as the performance approach goal and self-drive, self-direction, which positively influence the mastery of goal orientation. Okay, so first of all, achievement goal orientations. Goal orientation theory is focused on goals that are pursued or perceived by individuals in achievement situations resulting in different patterns of cognition, affect, and behavior. The original theory portrays two goal orientations. The first goal orientation is to develop one's competence by acquiring new skills and developing mastery in new situations, labeled as task goal, learning goal, or mastery goal. The second goal orientation is the goal of demonstrating competence or avoiding exhibiting a lack of competence by seeking favorable judgments from others and avoiding negative ones, labeled as ability goal, ego goal, or performance goal. Each of the goal orientations leads to different preferences within achievement situations. Individuals with a high mastery goal orientation are willing to risk erring in order to learn. They also prefer to engage in new, demanding, and challenging tasks rather than repeat familiar ones. Conversely, individuals with a high performance goal orientation tend to abstain from learning opportunities in which there is a risk of erring. They therefore favor performing familiar tasks in which they feel safe, so as not to make any errors, and are reluctant to opt for difficult tasks. So this theory was co-conducted. Co-founder of theory was Carol Dweck, who spoke about performance and who spoke about growth mindset. Mastery and performing goal orientation also differ in their emotional consequences. Mastery goal orientation elicits enjoyment, optimism, and intrinsic interest, whereas performance goal orientation elicits helplessness, negative affect, anxiety, and stress. So, there is also the Schwartz values theory. Values, security, and self-direction, for example, convey broad life goals that are important to us in our lives. They serve as guiding principles in people's lives and are ordered according to their importance, which varies across individuals. Their broad nature leads them to have an overarching effect across contexts. For example, a person who values benevolence is likely to be motivated by benevolence values at home, at work, or with friends. Values are quite stable, and as such function as ongoing motivators of perceptions, attitudes, goals, and behaviors. Schwartz presented a comprehensive model of values which defines 10 broad values that form a circle according to the motivation that underlies each of them. Every 2 adjacent values in the circle share an underlying motivation. So there are such four main circles: adjacent, self, transcendence, openness to change, self-enhancement, and conservation. In self-transcendence, there are two types: benevolence and universalism. In openness to change, there are self-direction, stimulation, and hedonism. In self-enhancement, there are power and achievement. In conservation, there are security, tradition, conformity. Conformity and tradition are together. So this is the circle Schwartz value model. Every two adjacent values in the circle share an underlying motivation. For example, benevolence and universalism share a pro-social motivation and can often be pursued simultaneously with the same pro-social goal or act. In contrast, values that emanate from opposite sides of the center of the circle are based on conflicting motivations, as the pursuit of one often hampers the pursuit of the other. Conformity and self-direction, for example, so they are conflicting. The circle of values is based on two bipolar orthogonal dimensions. The first dimension is of openness to change versus conservation. It arrays values according to the extent to which they motivate people to be open to new ideas and experiences. Openness to change, including self-direction, stimulation, and sometimes hedonism, versus the motivation to preserve the status quo and the certainty it provides. Conservation, including security, conformity, and tradition. The second dimension is self-enhancement versus self-transcendence. It arrays values according to the extent to which they motivate people to enhance personal interest even at the expense of others. Self-enhancement including power, achievement, and sometimes hedonism, versus the motivation to promote the welfare of others. Self-transcendence, including benevolence and universalism. The 10 values and their structure of relations have been established in cross-cultural research in more than 70 countries from around the world. I'm sorry, it's because of the conditioner. So as the value circle is based on a motivational continuum, Schwartz and Schwartz-Bonk advocate dividing the circle to more specific or to broader areas when a different division better represents hypotheses. Accordingly, in the current research, we use the division of universalism to the three parts that Schwartz suggests. Universalism socially expresses as general pro-social motivation and societal concern and includes the specific values of equality, social justice, and a world of peace. Schwartz noted that these values are the closest to benevolence values in their spatial location due to this shared pro-social motivation. Universalism intellect expresses an open-minded intellectual motivation and includes the specific values of broad-mindedness and wisdom. Schwartz noted that these two values are the closest to self-direction values in their spatial representation, probably due to the motivation of independent judgment that they share with self-direction values. Finally, universalism nature expresses the motivation to protect nature and includes the specific values of protecting the environment, a world of beauty, and unity with nature. I wanted to add that this research was conducted on the general cultural background. And it's quite objective, right? Collaboration, whenever the interest, they make enormous difference, right? A cultural background, because when you open, for example, the cultural, I forgot this resource, but it was conducted by the researcher, and the different cultural values that people have. And it helps because some cultures, they interpret the values differently. And that's why also we can have this cultural iceberg and some different cultures. I actually forgot about these stats, cultural stats. Just nope. Cultural statistics. Stats of different conducted. I always forget Hofstede Insights, right? Hofstede Insights, this one. If you have time, you can check out this resource. If you go to this Hofstede was he was not a scientist, he was a cultural scientist, and he was a businessman like HR, headhunter, and he conducted the research in different countries. When he conducted different statistics of different cultures, people of different cultures and from different cultural settings. And you can if you type any country in this Hofstede Insight resource, it will show you the cultural values that this country has. It's very interesting. And of course, personal values for different cultures are different values. And this Hofstede Insight, of course, it's very biased, a bit biased, but it's very average, and it's very true. So I like it very much, because when we were conducting some kind of we were writing some paper at university, I always used this Hofstede Insight, because we were writing some analysis toward on these Hofstede results. Okay. Right. Let's have a look. So I wanted also to show you the video, 1-minute video by Cumberbatch about motivation.
Stop thinking, worrying, looking over your shoulder, wondering, doubting, fearing, hurting, hoping for some easy way out, struggling, grasping, confusing, itching, scratching, mumbling, bumbling, grumbling, humbling, stumbling, numbling, rambling, gambling, tumbling, scumbling, scrambling, hitching, hatching, pitching, moaning, groaning, honing, boning, horse shitting, hair splitting, nitpicking, piss trickling, nose sticking, ass gouging, eyeball poking, finger pointing, alleyway sneaking, long waiting, small stepping, evil eyeing, back scratching, searching, perching, besmirching, grinding, grinding, grinding away at yourself. Stop it and just do.
He's really talented, #1 talented person in the world. So I just admire him, a very talented actor. Okay, and one more self-motivational video. I don't think that we can okay, no, we don't have really time for this video. Let's just discuss one more question. So what about you? What are 3 most important things that you value in life? After we have what's important for you? Being conservative, conservational, or giving your yourself to benevolence. What's your self-transcendence or other stuff? What stuff is more efficient for you? Self-enhancement, self-transcendence, openness to change, or conservation, or vice versa, conservation. According to the Schwartz theory, surrounding mindset, intrinsic, extrinsic motivation. Right, it's very important to make your motivations cross, right? Intrinsic and extrinsic. It's a very good way. Sometimes I ask myself why I don't want to do this stuff, and or some people ask me why you don't want to do that, to do this or that, or to learn this or that. I say I don't have enough for example, I don't have enough extrinsic motivation, for example, or I don't have enough intrinsic motivation. That's why I don't want to do this, and I avoid doing this stuff. And how do these 3 things guide you in life? How do they work as your motivational factors? How do they guide you in life as guidelines? And how do they work as your motivational factor? How do they work as motivations, these guidelines? For example, intrinsic and extrinsic motivation work really great. Openness to change also. Being for me, for example, the big motivation is has recently become being able to understand your mistakes, understand that you are wrong, and thinking that there is always space to learn, that nobody is right. It's a big talent. No, it's not a big talent, it's a big achievement that you understand your mistakes and you can learn from your mistakes. For me, it has become really a breakthrough, because some people, they just don't understand. They think that they are correct, they are right, what they are doing, always they are right. And for me, it's like a big misunderstanding sometimes. And I think maybe I'm the same, but after that you have to reconsider everything in your head. Okay, So today the prize goes as usual to Andriy. Thanks a lot for participating. Thanks a lot for joining me today. Well, surrounding urges me to find some like-mindeds who are driven by intrinsic and extrinsic motivation, by both, right? Cool. Thanks a lot for today. Have a nice weekend and see you. It seems to me the next week I won't be present. I will be on vacation. So see you the week after next week, something. Have a nice day. Have a nice weekend. Have a nice week. See you. Bye-bye.